Hey guys, it's Ryan here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we're doing another episode of the Sword and Sorcery Book Club. Today we are looking at Solomon Kane, the Serpent Ring, which is the latest or newest Solomon Kane series. It's a 4-issue series. It released earlier this year while Diamond was imploding, and it was a bit difficult to get these issues. I think some people actually didn't even get them ever, and I'm really sorry for those people that didn't, because this is a great story, but I do recommend that you guys find a way to track it down because it is worth your time. And this ties in directly to Scourge of the Serpent. Today we're doing our last Road to Scourge of the Serpent video, as the series is going to come out in a few days. I have a e-arc for it already, so I should be able to read it soon, and hopefully I'll have a video out Thursday after it releases, because that's the earliest I can do it with my new schedule. But it should be really, really awesome. Yvonne Gill's going to do a great job with the artwork there. So, Pat Searcher's Solomon Kane, the Serpent Ring. I'm not going to give you a full rundown like I usually do for like a full series review, because I recently just reviewed this, right? Over a couple weeks, I did videos for each video, for each issue, and so I don't necessarily think that there needs to be a full breakdown of the story since I've already done it, but I will give you kind of the highlights, right? There's kind of a few key characters here. We have Solomon Kane, of course, the Hound of God, this kind of rabid dog of a man who really has these crazy strict morals, and he kind of sticks to them as much as he can, and kind of has this honor code that is really, really weird. Well, I mean, I guess it's not weird, but it's very extreme, and it makes him do some crazy stuff, right? Like in his first story, he goes traveling basically across the known world in order to track down this guy called the Wolf for randomly killing a young girl. And so he has this kind of crazy tendency about him, right? In this story, he is working as a privateer for the English monarchy. He ends up encountering a Portuguese ship. They seize it, and in the kind of battle to seize it, he ends up killing a man, an innocent man, who was not trying to kill him or do anything, but rather just happened to be there due to circumstance. And this man, in his dying, breath, gives him a totem to take to his friend Abramo, who lives in Italy, right? In Venice specifically, right? So Solomon Kane heads off to Venice. On his way there, he encounters 2 Knights of Malta, or rather 1 Knight of Malta called Sarza, I think, and his buddy Nico something, right? Who are basically your suave, piratey kind of dudes. And these guys are also looking for the information that is kept inside of that snake totem that was given to Solomon Kane, right? So they follow him, they have a fight. Solomon Kane kind of wins, or at least beats them off, and so he continues on to Venice to go find Abramo. He does. It turns out Abramo is a Jewish Kabbalist, and he has a daughter who's also some sort of scholar, although I think she's a scholar of normal things, whereas Abramo is a normal scholar, but also kind of into the occult, right? He is a Kabbalist. And so Diamanta is the one that figures out that the totem has a map hidden inside of it, right? So she breaks open the totem, and the map reveals to them where they can find the Serpent Ring, where it was last placed, which is somewhere in Africa. And so Solomon Kane, Abramo, Diamanta, Sarza, and his buddy, Nico something, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, all head off together to Africa. They end up in this village of Nongo, or Ndongo, Ndongo, I'm not really sure how to say it, and it turns out that this city, or this village, has been overrun by serpent men, who are slowly trying to gather information about the current world, and are being led by this priestess or sorceress, this Stygian woman, I guess you could say, called Shah Kabat, right? I think that's how you say her name. And she happens to be a shaman, a priestess, kind of a brood mother for the serpent men that live in this area of Africa, and they have taken over the village of Ndongo, and she wants guns. This is what she tells Abramo in a fight that they have, wizard to wizard, basically. Abramo uses Jewish kind of like incantations and stuff to try to fight her off, and it doesn't quite work. What does end up happening is that Abramo gets taken, and then everyone has to go chase after them. They end up kind of struggling and getting hunted down by snake men. Solomon Kane and Sarza fight. Solomon Kane is taken down, left behind, and then he has to battle a pack of hyenas off of himself before he can continue on through the journey. And they end up in this kind of interesting serpent mound looking area. It's just a rounded structure where inside of lie a brood of serpent men, and they end up there. They manage to attack the serpent men, surprise them. They have a battle there, and as this is happening, Shakabat calls on Set, this giant statue of Set, and the ring is found within the eye of the statue. And so I think Abramo manages to get it. Solomon Kane arrives to save them from their ultimate fate. Scorza or Sarza, whatever his name is, the kind of Knight of Malta character, he ends up grabbing it, and he is too interested in it. And so it does this thing where it takes him over. It tries to possess him, right? And so he starts turning into a snake man. And as he's doing this, he calls forth the power. Shakabat does as well. And then Abramo fights them off to an extent. And then the whole mound collapses. And the only people that make it out of there are Solomon Kane and Diamanta. I think Abramo gets lost within there as well. So it's only two people that come out of it. And then Diamanta goes on to, return to Venice, and Solomon Kane goes off to a different adventure. Although there's a bittersweet kind of feeling to it, because throughout the story, Solomon Kane has been kind of developing a romantic, attachment to Diamanta that doesn't manage to portray itself into anything further, or doesn't manage to evolve into anything further, because of his devotion to God, right? And the fact that being a Puritan, he probably wouldn't get into anything with her until marriage, right? And so they're just kind of forced away from each other. And so Diamanta particularly is quite hurt by this. Solomon Kane just kind of takes it in stride. It's kind of normal for him that this sort of stuff happens, right? And so he goes on to his next adventure, which hopefully is getting thrown back in time so that we can have all of our characters that have been arranged so far, which is Kirowan, Conan, probably Brizza, because of how she ended up continuing to exist after the Battle of the Blackstone, Ganor and Aea, who are the characters from the prehistoric story, Fist and Fang, Spear and Fang, and let's see, who did I not mention? Solomon Kane, right? So Solomon Kane, Conan, Kirowan, Ganor, Aea, probably Brizza. These characters are all established for this up-and-coming story, and I think that they will all play a part in it. I don't know how they're all going to tie in. There does seem to be like a potential for the characters to be thrown forwards in time, this time instead of backwards, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to be happening. It makes more sense for me to have them meet kind of like in the time period that Solomon Kane is in right now, after defeating Shakabat and kind of getting rid of the Serpent Ring once again. But obviously it was found later, because we see Costigan, who I forgot to mention earlier, interact with it, and then it shows up again for Kirowan, right? And I think Costigan is before Kirowan in terms of the timeline, or around the same time. And so it's kind of curious to see how this is going to work out, right? Conan probably will be sent forwards in time, just because he is the furthest back. And unless Brule and Cole end up being the ones where the story is most focused on, they will also end up getting shot forwards in time, right? Which will be really cool. It's just kind of curious, because I don't know where the story will land. Like, for the first one, in the Battle of the Blackstone, it makes sense for everyone to be thrown backwards in time, because Conan is the carrying character, like the character that is central to the Robert E. Howard universe in terms of sales, right? But at this point, there's at least some knowledge of all the other ones, and you can kind of anchor the story in a different time period, and I don't think it would be that difficult to make it work. But I'm not quite sure. I think that overall, as long as all of the characters that were, that are seem to be in play are actually in play, which means Ganor, Aya, and Costigan, there's going to be some interesting interactions, right? Because Ganor and Aya are technically like less civilized than Conan, and then Conan is less civilized than everyone else, right? And is there going to be a callback to the fact that Solomon Kane and Conan have met before? I can't remember if their memories were wiped or not. I'm pretty sure they were, but it might be possible that they'll return to them when they meet each other again, right? I'm not really sure how it's going to work. There's also no character that's tying them together this time, like last time. I'm sure James Allison can show up again, just randomly, but I'm not quite sure that that's what's going to happen. I think it might be like all of the characters are separate this time. I'm not really sure. I think it makes more sense for them to come together, but we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, there really isn't too much else to say. I gave you a broad overview of the story. You basically got all the things that you needed. And if you want more detail, you can go back and watch my separate videos if you want. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys are excited for the upcoming crossover event, the Scourge of the Serpent, because I think it'll be really, really awesome, and I can't wait. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in a few days.